This video will be a short intro to the process of applying to a Doctor of Physical Therapy program. PTCAS is the Physical Therapy Central Application Service. Before PTCAS, you had to send everything to every school you wanted to apply to. So you can imagine this would end up being pretty tricky when you needed to send reference letters, transcripts, etc. to multiple schools. What PTCAS does is basically does all that for you. So you send all your stuff to PTCAS, and then as you figure out which schools you want to apply to, you can easily apply to them with just a few clicks. It does cost money. I believe it's $25 per school, and not all schools use PTCAS. For example, the University of Minnesota currently doesn't use it, so if you wanted to apply there, you would need to go to their website and follow all of their instructions and send them all of your information. Overall, PTCAS is a cool, easy-to-use service that has made applying to PT school much easier. The PTCAS directory is definitely one of the most useful parts of the PTCAS site. You can find it by clicking on the program directory link at the top of the website. Within the directory, you can visit pages for each individual school. You'll be able to find average GPA, average GRE, program start date, length of program, required prerequisites, application deadlines, etc. All sorts of useful stuff for individual programs. And overall, it's very useful to check out the stats of each school and see where you fit in. GPA is extremely important for getting into PT school, and not only cumulative GPA, but prerequisite GPA. Keep in mind that they're usually viewed as separate scores, and they're both weighed pretty heavily. If you retake a class, some schools will average the first and second grade together. So say you take chemistry and you get a C, you retake it and get an A, they'll average them together and use a B for their calculations. Whereas some other schools will completely replace the old grade with the new grade. So you'll take a class and get a C. If you retake it, they'll use the A in their calculations. Overall, you need your GPA to be as high as possible. You want to have it as close to 4.0 as you can to be competitive. But at very minimum, at least 3.5. For GRE, you can see there's three components to the GRE: the verbal, quantitative, and analytical writing. For the verbal section and the quantitative section, these scores range from 130 to 170, and analytical writing ranges from 0 to 6 in 0.5 increments. I would say you definitely need to be at least at the 50th percentile to be competitive, and you want your scores to be as high as possible. You're definitely going to want to look in the program directory and see the average scores for each school to see where you need to be competitive for that school. In general, what you need to know about the GRE is that you really need to study to do well. What I learned from my GRE books was that the GRE is not a measure of how much you learned in college or how smart you are. The GRE is a measure of how well you studied for the GRE. So at first this might seem like a kind of lame way to assess someone, but if you think about it, the people that realize how important the test is and realize what's at stake, those are the ones who are going to study hard and do well on the test. Those are the people that are also probably going to do pretty well in the programs. So you should study hard and you'll do well and show that you'll be a good student. The other thing about the GRE is it's a really great place to make up some points, especially if you have a lower GPA. My GPA was only about a 3.55 in undergrad, and I used the GRE as a way to increase my overall score. Together, GPA and GRE are going to account for, in most programs, at least 80% of your overall score. So if you have a lower GPA, I mean, you can just study really hard. For what I did is I studied hard for a month, and I got really good GRE scores, and I was able to get into a good school. The rest of the stuff, interviews, letters of recommendation, essays, and observation hours. Well, like I said before, GRE, GPA are going to account for most of your score as an applicant. So the rest of this stuff isn't as important as everyone thinks it is, but it still could be the difference between you and someone else getting a spot in a program, so it's important to prepare for it all. People often stress really hard about the interviews because you're in person, you don't know what they're going to ask, and you think that they're expecting you to blow them away with your answers, but this really isn't true. They want to get to know you and give you a chance to see the school, get to know the school, and ask any questions you have. And it's really kind of a quick screen to just see if you're a weirdo or not. So they do want good answers to their questions during the interview, and there are a lot of resources online that you can check out interview questions in general and some answers. And if there's enough interest, I can make a video about interviews specific to PT applicants. Letters of recommendation. A lot of schools will require you to submit a certain number of letters of recommendation from certain people. For example, some schools require 2 letters of recommendation from physical therapists, 1 from a professor, etc. So you're definitely going to want to try to develop a good relationship with professors and physical therapists as you shadow or as you take classes. Remember, for professors, even though you might not know them very well, remember that they're on your side and they can see things from the student's point of view, so they're usually willing to help. So don't be shy when asking for letters of recommendation. Essays is really just more of the same. Take your time, have it read by friends for corrections, etc. Be careful with grammar and other things. Make sure you don't lose easy points here. For shadowing, you'll want to have this done before your senior year of undergrad because that's when you'll be submitting your application. So summer before senior year or summer before junior year is probably the best. Most university DPT programs are going to require you to have about 50 to 100 hours of observation. And most college students are going to try to get their hours in the summer when they don't have schools, so it's your best bet to start calling around to local PT offices before school's over. Don't be shy, just call and explain that you're planning on applying to PT school and would like to get some shadowing hours in. Most places are welcoming, but may only allow 1 to 2 students at a time, and it's usually first come, first served, so make sure you do it early so you get a spot. Thanks for watching. If you have any requests for more videos, just let me know. Thanks.